Good evening, everyone, and welcome to On the Wrong Lead presents Saratoga Daily. I am Mark, and I'm here with Josh, also known as Cherry Drank. He's the second person on the stream, or first person to be a guest twice. So Josh gets the, you know, uh, all the whatever for that. We're talking a little bit of Saratoga today. Uh, you know, Really good card today. I think a lot of people were complaining it was a little chalky early and then became kind of impossible late. But Josh, what were you seeing? What was working for you today?
I mean, as far as actually working for me, I don't know if there was much working for me. I know, I've kind of transitioned a little bit from moving towards playing, almost exclusively vertically to, playing a lot of doubles and pick threes, and that's kind of what I've been focusing on so far this meet. And apparently we flip flopped because I know you hit that monster exacta a little bit later in the day that I was also on but didn't bet, and that's that was a frustrating part of the day. But yeah, I mean, the early was really logical. I I had the first couple races. I did miss the first race that wasn't jumps. I know you were really on that two horse with that trainer and JJ getting up. I was on I think the two other logicals that were in that race, the four and was it the three and the four, I think, were the other two logicals.
Yeah, three and the four were the other two logicals.
Yeah.
The
So I was on those two, and I know you had the two, I think you had the two and the three, or the two and the five or something. But yeah, I mean the the early was really, really logical. And then all of a sudden you got to the late and it got to that near impossible territory, I think, a little bit there.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the late was really hard. If you're a horizontal player and you somehow strung something together in the late, good for you. I found that sequence to be really impossible. I sort of capped it that it might be rough. I didn't think it was going to be that rough. But yeah, I think if things that have been working for me are the sort of well met shipper angles. I always talk about this, and it's a big focus in Saratoga. That two that you mentioned in the second race was a Kelly Breen horse. Kelly Breen is predominantly a Kentucky trainer. He took a horse that they claimed out of Florida and then ships it to New York and puts JJ up. To me that screams like, why are you here? You could be running, at these levels at, whether it be Ellis or any of the other, Midwestern tracks, but you ship the horse to Saratoga. That screams that the horse is live to me, especially with JJ getting up. So that was kind of a must-use horse, and that horse won, fairly convincingly. And then I definitely got lucky in the seventh. Put together a really nice exacta that I caught a couple prices on. But a Bill Mott horse that's on the turf with Junior Alvarado off that goes up at 12 to 1. I mean, those are things are fairly easy. Things I was really noticing today though. I would say turf speed is really dead. You do not want to be on the front end of any of these turf races. Caleb and I were actually talking. We've yet to see a horse wire on the dirt, on the turf, or at any distance. So I don't think you really want to be on the front end, right on the front end or loose on the front end in any of the distances or any of the surfaces, but specifically the turf. Horses that make a lot of logical sense and that are forwardly placed on the turf just aren't holding on. And the other thing that I really noticed today, it kind of had a hunch that this was the case, and I really think I've got some reinforcement on it now. Diodoro horses are just super dead. They're taking a ton of money, and none of his horses have run well at all. And also, probably commingled with that is David Cohen has not been putting anything together. He's yet to have a win. I think he's got about a dozen starts, and again, he's riding some horses that are going off at 3 to 1, 4 to 1 range, shorter priced horses that are just not running well at all. So I think Diodoro not running well probably also links a little to Cohen not running well, because Diodoro does use Cohen quite a lot as a jock. But yeah, that's stuff that I really saw.
Yeah, and I like that you brought up that seventh race. And I know I was also on those same two horses. I unfortunately only had a win bet on that 12. And we were talking earlier that I was kind of going back and forth between the six and the one, to kind of use in I kind of thought that either the six or the one was going to be um, were going to be prominent in that race, and so I didn't want to get get nipped by one of them. So I was looking to try to box one of them in with my two picks, the 9 and the 12, and I couldn't make heads or tails between the 1 and the 6, and I ended up getting locked out. But yeah, the 9, the interesting thing about that 9 and 12 is both of those horses, at least on time form figs, fit with the rest of the
Yep.
field. They weren't that far off. I think the 6 had the biggest last time out
Yep.
fig on time form, but both of those horses were within 6 or 7 points. And um second time out, I always feel like horses can improve. So the 9 being 7 off wasn't that much of a deterrent, and Crescent Lady was only 2 points off of the last time. That or sorry, 4 points off of where Gaelic Gold was. So I thought they were both right there, and they were going to sit pretty decent trips. I did not think the 9 was going to get to the lead, so that was a surprise. And I thought that as soon as I saw that, I was like, well, the 9's done, especially with the way that we saw turf playing today. But the nine held on pretty gamely for second, and the 12 just reared at the top of the stretch, just got outside and just blew on by everybody. So yeah, hats off to you on hitting that monster exacta. I know you had it multiple times. So uh, good job on that one.
Yeah, those when you're you have one of those days where you're up four figures. That's really a nice day at Saratoga. I didn't think that sequence, or I didn't think that race was super hard. I thought the horses that were pretty logical. I didn't want a lot of those horses that had multiple starts and had been beaten around at these levels and not really doing much. So I was looking for sort of newer faces. Bill Mott, Junior Alvarado is always something I like, and Lascano getting up on a Michael Masili horse seemed a little bit of a head scratcher, but those two are 30% connections together. So, yeah, a lot of things to like there. So, Josh, looking forward to tomorrow. It's the big feature tomorrow is the first race over the jumps at Saratoga. I don't know if it stays. I'm looking outside. We just had a second downpour come through. We got probably want to say, I don't know, quarter-inch of rain or something like that, maybe a little bit more, a third of an inch. I would tend to think we've been fairly dry up here so far this summer, so I would think everything stays on. But what are you looking at in this Thursday card?
So I didn't really look at much at the first race, the jumps race. Upon quick look, the 2 looks a little interesting to me at a decent price, but the I think is there an odds-on horse here
Yeah,
or close to odds-on?
Prime is in here. He's 9-5. Had a win. Won the New York Turf Riders G1 last year. Comes back here, stretches out. You will not get 9-5 on this horse. You're going to get less than even money. He'll be 4-5 kind of range, and I think he pretty much towers over this field. Do agree with you that the 2 makes a little bit of sense in here. Who I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name. Prava Laguna, something like that.
Yeah.
The other ones in here that I thought were a little interesting is Moscato, who is a horse that's been keeping pretty classy company and run pretty well. And also in here, the 9 Radician, who is a horse that you're seeing some. Leslie Young has been training really, really well. Obviously, she won the I think it was a black type stakes today over the jumps, and this horse is 1-for-1 at Saratoga, and I really like a lot of these jumpers that have local wins. Saratoga jumps layout is a little odd if anybody's not familiar. There's a very long, almost flat race type of run out. They used to have one jump coming down the home stretch, and they've taken that out. So there's a very long sort of flat stretch after the last jump, and I like these horses that have been shown they can handle the tighter turns here at Saratoga versus other tracks over the hurdles. So that one I've put in there as a bit of a price.
Yeah. The races that I actually did want to talk about were 2, 3, and 4 here. I thought that and not to take anything away from you, Mark, because I know this is your move, but I thought I was going to get a little cute here. And I think that in races 2 and 3, I think I can get by with 2 singles here. And it's kind of 2 different things here. We'll start with the second race. Just going off the way that The track played the first couple days. Um, you know, you can kind of go back and forth. I think, maybe the 2 tries to get to the lead, or maybe even the 3. They're going to be vying. They're up close. Maybe even the 4. I think those are going to be your main pace pressures. Um, so I'm going to kind of look away from those 3 horses, and I'm going to go straight to the 5 here, Carthon. We got Raylu Gutierrez getting up, Rudy Rodriguez. And I think that this horse is going to sit the right trip that's been winning. These sprints. He's going to be just outside of the front leaders. Whether he's going to be 1 or 2 lengths off. And I think he's going to do its best running late. On time form, the 5 looks to kind of tower over the field figs wise. I don't know if Bayer looks like that, but it's pretty noticeable. You got 3 triple digits these last 3 times out, and nobody else has run in triple digits besides the 6, and that was over the synthetic at Turfway in a route. So yeah, I really think that I could get by with just the 5 here. Have you looked at this one at all?
Yeah, I have actually. I really like the same sequence. I like to get into it one race later than you are, but I completely agree. This 5 sort of screams. It's that style that's been running a little bit more off the pace here. That's been running well. This horse, if it runs back to that last race at Aqueduct in February, has a 5 or a 6 Beyer point advantage over this field. It should be, that's a length or two, probably about 2 lengths at this sort of a distance. Right run style. Raylu Gutierrez has been riding very well. He does not have a Saratoga win yet, but did very well at Belmont. So he's not a jock that's scary, and Rudy tends to use him a lot. Rudy likes these some of these younger, I think, newer jocks who he probably doesn't have to pay quite as much to ride his horses. And this horse is getting just a massive class drop, coming out of an optional 40 into a claiming 14. That's an absolute jumping off a cliff. It's almost enough of a class drop that it scares you a little, but this is Saratoga. People do these kind of moves to try to get the win. It's a Tapazar. They've been running real well. I mean, the horse is 2 for 23 lifetime. We're not talking about a monster here. So I think them saying, okay, let's get out of the optional ranks, come down, and put this horse into a claimer is probably a real aggressive step. That's probably the right move where this horse needs to be to win. Completely agree with you. 3-1 on the morning line. I don't think you get it, but I think if you want to be a little cute, this is a good single.
Yeah, I'm going to try and get past there, and I'm going to move to another single in this next race. And this is we got 7 horse field. We got 6 first time starters in here. We're going long on the turf. So I have a kind of a hard, fast rule when it comes to turf routes. And it's never bet first time starters on turf routes. It's very hard for a horse first time out to win going long, especially if your trainer's last name isn't Brown. And looking in here, not that we don't have good turf trainers. I mean, we got 2 Christophe Clements, we got Bill Mott, Danny Gargan. But I'm gonna go with the 7 here at Lost Lake, with Graham Motion and Jose Ortiz. Didn't run great last time out. Nothing on the page is going to scream, hey, like this is this horse is going to be a complete turf monster. I mean, is by Noble Mission. So I think the breeding is there for wanting to try the grass, but just the fact that there's all these first time starters, and I mean, besides Wesley Ward, I mean, none of them are like jump off the page, first time starters. I mean, Christophe Clement 17%. I mean, he normally hits at 20% though. So, even though he's hitting at 17, he's actually hitting less than he normally does. And Wesley Ward is definitely known more for his turf sprinters than he is for his routers. So I'm going to take a chance here with the Jose Ortiz and the Graham Motion, the number 7 Lost Lake, as another single.
Yeah, I don't hate that play. I do agree with you. Unless your last name is Brown, most trainers have a really hard time getting turf routers to fire first time out. So you like to see that Grand Motion has a start, even though it's obviously over the wrong surface. I would assume this horse ends up being a turf horse. Yeah, I don't hate the being cute here. Now I would say that I probably will not be. I want a little more coverage in here, and I want both of the Clement runners in here. Christophe Clement's been hitting at 38%. He's 27% with firsters, and he's about 21% first turf. And he happened to draw Irad and Rosario in the on both these horses. I think these are both well meant. They didn't pay anything crazy here. You have a First Samurai and an Uncle Mo. Both of them have been very, very good turf pedigrees, and both also win early type pedigrees. Do they want to necessarily go this far over the turf? I don't know. But I think those are the other two I want as A's. I would imagine what you're going to do here is you're going to get single into the next leg. I have a feeling I know you're the horse that you're going to use because we were talking about this horse earlier. If I was going to spread a leg of this pick three that you're targeting, this is the leg I want a little more coverage in.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to stay. I'm only going to use two other horses here. That's going to be the one Fresco, and the two. The two is actually the horse I like more in Dixie Cannon. I think that at least on Figs, these two horses do tower a little bit over the field. Another horse that's kind of interesting to me is the five. The five has very competitive Figs. The problem is all of her competitive figs are going shorter. So while I think that this horse probably does want turf, I think that they're going to want to be sprinting. So going a mile and 16th, I don't see it with the five. The figs, like I said, they are competitive. But I'm going to stick with the one Fresco and the two Dixie Cannon here.
Yeah, I think to me, at least on buyers, which are the figs that I tend to use, Fresco absolutely jumps off the page here. Albeit, I'm going to be probably singling to a maiden in a stakes race, but these are New York State, Stallion Series races. These are not the class. I don't want to say they're not the classiest of races, but they're the best of what New York State has in 3-year-old fillies at a mile and 16th in the turf this time of year. A lot of times these are not the saltiest of races. You're not going to have a lot of horses that have shown they're really good winners, because if they are, they're not going to be running in this race. They're going to be running in a graded race at Saratoga, where there's they can make 3 or 4 times as much money winning an equivalent race versus open company. Fresco to me kind of jumps off the page here. Clement, as I've said, Clement has been really, really, really hot. Horse has been real close 3 times, and any of this horse's first 3 figs absolutely tower over what anyone in this race has run in their best fig. So I would be trying to probably, if you're playing the same sequence you are, I would probably a single or two deep in that second. I would probably spread the third, try to find a little bit of a price in there, and hope to get really singled to the maiden in this race.
Yeah, what's really interesting is Dixie Cannon's last race was 97 on time form, which is 4 points higher than Fresco's first try at a maiden race, which is a 93. So it's really interesting. Another thing is that the allowance race that Dixie Cannon is coming out of is between that race and this race on time form is like a humongous drop in class. We're talking 16 points in on time form. So it looks like time form really liked that last race that Dixie Cannon is leaving. So did finish 11th and 10 lengths off. So it wasn't exactly an impressive finish, but there was some 2-year-old form there. Won last 2 races as a 2-year-old. So yeah, I'm thinking I like the Dixie Cannon more than I like Fresco, but I think you got to use both of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think in here for me, just on figs, I don't really see an excuse for Dixie Cannon's last race. I like that Time Form liked it, but I mean, 11. When you finish 11th by 10.5 lengths, in a race at Laurel, which kind of seems like you should have been. I mean, the horse was 18 to 1, okay, but seems looking at it, I don't know. It doesn't seem like I can make a good excuse for what happened in there. Not no hot pace. It didn't seem like there was some sort of contested duel. I get the horse was swung 5 wide, but I expect a little more. On the figs I'm looking at, it seems like that horse is inferior. I wouldn't, you're getting Jose Ortiz up. I wouldn't fault you for trying to get there. But yeah, the other thing that's interesting about Fresco, the one horse in here, if you're a pedigree person, the Fresco is a full half to therapist, who's also trained by Clement and is a multiple stakes winner who's made quite a bit of money, and can run quite well versus open companies. So the pedigree is there as well. So, I mean, I was gonna say, when I looked at this sequence, I liked the 3-4-5 sequence a little better, trying to spread in the third, get a little bit cute to Fresco here, and sort of spreading into the fifth race as well. I thought that this open maiden was pretty interesting in here. A lot of horses in here that I think you could use. You have a works horse in the 8, Anzio Beach, who's 8 to 1. Again, another Clement firster with Rosario up. 10 to 1 on the morning line. The other horses in here I thought were kind of interesting. The 4, the Chad Brown gelding, had a plan, recent gelding. And also Irish Front, the 6, and the 7, Instinctive Rhythm, the George Weaver horse. Obviously, George points most of his barn towards his meet and is yet to have a win on the meet so far. I thought that there was a lot of, you could sort of play a double. I thought made a lot of sense. Maybe Dutch a double out of the 4th with it in singling to that 1, and then sort of spread into this race, and then maybe play sort of a pick 3 where I leverage up the front side, be 3 or 4 by 1 by 4, and then play sort of a coverage. If the 1 doesn't win the 4th race, that New York State Stallion Series race, I think that the payout in any sort of horizontal gets pretty crazy pretty quickly. So I think there's a really small backside hedge where you sort of buy the field in there. Wouldn't be super expensive and might have a lot of upside potential on it.
Yeah, in this race, I don't know. I think I would probably go with the evens. I like the 2, the 4, the 6, and then I would maybe toss in that 8 with the good works. The 6 probably is the horse that I want the most of. I am a sucker for these lightly raced horses that toss up a really big and competitive fig in the field. And at least on time form, we got a 98 here on the 6, which is pretty damn good. The 2 does have it beat by about 10 points on time form, but seeing a horse improve by 10 points on time form from the first to second race isn't insane, especially going from a 2-year-old to a 3-year-old. So I think I like the 6 the most here. The 2 obviously has really good figs the last 2 times out, and then the four fits pretty good, and we got a first time gelding coming out. We got Chad and Jose. I'm sure that this horse is going to take a ton of money. What's really funny about this race is the horse with the best figs is probably a horse that you do not want to bet, which is going to be the 3 here, New Frontier. I mean, this horse just is what 0 for 6, 0 for 13. So it's kind of hard to make a case for an 0 for 13 horse, even if all of the figs come back as high. I mean, it looks like the race at Aqueduct 2 back a 1:13 time form, which just absolutely obliterates this field. What's Bayer got that one?
They have it as an 84. I don't know if it necessarily obliterates this field. The horse that I thought was real interesting. We talk about dirtied up form quite a lot. Is this Chad Brown horse? That's Chad Brown horse with Jose Ortiz up. It's going to be bet. But obviously, they tried the horse on turf last time out with JJ up. It did not really run well, and so you sort of have that last out figure that isn't doesn't look that great. If you go to the 2-back or the 3-back figs, those both look a lot better. The 2-back or the 3-back figs both probably win this race unless your 6 Irish front really steps up and runs, it really steps forward off from that really long layoff. Plus your horses tend to be ready to fire off the long layoff. I'm not so concerned there. I figured you'd be all over Irish front on the fact that it could be pretty good argument that the 6 is low in speed in here.
Yeah, I mean, technically, at least the figs I'm looking at, the 3 looks like it's probably faster early than the 6 is last out. But we're talking 2-year-old to 3-year-old improvement against against an older 4-year-old here now for the 3 New Frontier. So yeah, so it's just interesting. I mean, I guess I could see the 3 winning if for some reason nobody presses. But speed hasn't. I mean, speed's been pretty good, but um, I think the track's probably been mostly fair. But it does seem like that, that EP or P type horse, a horse that wants to be forwardly placed or, dueling for the lead, is going to be the horse that's going to kind of win. But we haven't really seen too many just like horses get loose and wire. So I don't really see that happening here. But I do think that like a horse like the 6, the 6 or the 4 are going to just sit just off and make that one run. So those are the 6, the 4, and the 2 are who I'm most interested in. The 8 interests me a little bit with the works.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only other thing, the one last thing on that 3 New Frontier. Mike Maker is 0 for 8 on the meet so far, and he's only had one horse hit the board. It does not seem like he brought the same barn to Saratoga that he did coming here last year. He was an absolute force the first 2 or 3 weeks of the meet last year, and it does not seem like he brought the same quality with him this year. So he's a little bit of the old fade until proven otherwise, I guess, in my books.
Yep, that makes sense.
Cool. So thank you very much for the time, Josh. I think the insight was really, really good here. Thanks everyone for tuning in. If you like this content, like and or subscribe to it. I'll also have an AM Wager affiliate link that will be in the description. If you sign up for that, it does help the channel out. And they have a pretty killer offer. If you're playing a lot of Saratoga, you're getting 10% back for your first $500 in rewards. So most of the big guys out there are offering $100 or $200. They have $500, so that's pretty substantial. I think we're going to do a live stream tomorrow with the whole team and covering some of the stakes action from this weekend, which looks to be pretty darn stellar. And till next time, good luck at the races.
See you guys.